You're watching Cobb County's Government Access Channel, TV 23.
Welcome to the Library Show. My name is Cindy Holmberg. In today's show, I'll introduce you to the new Executive Director of the Cobb Library Foundation, Terri Capote. We'll talk about how the foundation supports Cobb Libraries and how you can help. Next, in celebration of Women's History Month, Donna and Roxanne will review books for adults written by and about women. And Beth and Shannon are here, and they'll continue this theme by recommending some children's books to commemorate women in history. And finally, Shannon will put the spotlight on Dr. Seuss and Read Across America Day. Well, welcome to the show, Terri. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And so you are new. You've only been on board a couple of months. I don't think anybody knows you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
That's correct. I just... the start of the new year is the start of a new life for me with this. I began as the new executive director of the Cobb Library Foundation in January and really kind of hit the ground running. But it's something that I've loved all of my life. I literally grew up in the library. My mother and my grandmother both worked in the library.
Oh, wow.
My grandmother didn't work outside of the home until she was in her 60s and decided I need to do something, and so she became the master book repairer of the library until she was forced to retire at 85. So,
wow,
so I literally learned to walk in the library and spent my childhood there, and so the library's always been important to me. So when this opportunity with the foundation came up, I said, absolutely, that is what I want to do.
Wonderful. Oh, I love that story about your grandmother. So for our viewers that don't know anything about the Library Foundation, what is the mission of the foundation?
Well, the Cobb Library Foundation was founded in 2003, so we're working on our 11th year now. And what happened was friends and supporters of the Cobb Public Library system realized that due to some severe budget cuts, almost half of the library branches were going to be closed down, and they said that absolutely cannot happen. What can we do? Yeah. So they rallied together and they formed a 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit organization whose mission is really to just increase the visibility of the library, raise awareness of what the library is all about for our community, and to raise funds to make sure that the library always has what they need to provide those resources to the public.
So how does the foundation go about that mission?
Well, we try to just be visible, first of all. We have events throughout the year, usually monthly events, called Booked for Lunch or Booked at 6, which is kind of a cocktail party, more casual setting. And what we do is we invite authors out, or we invite speakers out, sometimes artists, to really interact with the public, to interact with the people that would go looking for them in the library so that they can meet them, listen to their stories behind the books, purchase books, just really be up close and personal with the authors. And through these fundraisers, we're able to establish the funds that we can give back and to funnel through the library system so that the librarians have what they need to deliver to the public.
But there are other ways that you raise money besides just the fundraising.
Absolutely, we do. There are planned giving opportunities. We have a brand new website, so if you are familiar with us at all and have gone to our website, you may see that it has changed, and we are working on that. But you can do planned giving through the website. We accept donations throughout the year. We sell T-shirts and book bags at each of the library branches, and all of that money goes back to support the library system as a whole through the foundation. You can make a donation directly at your branch. You can say that this is for the Cobb Library Foundation, and that way we can monitor the funds and get them to where they need to go, to the libraries directly.
And are there specific things that the money goes to, or do you just give them to the library system and let them, figure out what needs they have? Or
we work very closely with the library system to know what they need, and then we are able to kind of monitor the funds to make sure that the money goes exactly where it needs to go. So we have funded e-readers for use in the libraries.
Yeah.
We've got literacy stations, both young literacy and adult literacy stations. We've got e-government stations so that you can access all of the services that you may need from the government. If you may not have a computer at home, you can access that at the library. We're constantly working closely with the libraries to see what their needs are and what can we do to help you have what you need.
so do you have any projects in the works for the coming year?
We do. Well, we have our events. They're the booked for events that happen once a month. With the luncheon is usually on a Wednesday throughout the year. And then we have the Booked at 6, which is a different kind of speaker. We try to reach out to a broader audience. And what I'm working on this year is to reach out to bring in more children with their parents, because that's really the door to a whole world that kids can access. They can read and they can travel and have adventures just by walking in the library doors.
Yeah.
So that's really a key that I would like to do, to expand and reach out through these different events. We have a gala in the fall, which is a little, that's our big party. It's a big formal party that is really the bulk of our fundraising. And we're working on possibly some music events this year, because music, art, books, they all go together.
Yes.
And that's the thing that we're trying to express. Everybody has been to the library as a child. Everybody knows what's in the library, but I think you forget what's there. And it's not just about books, it's about all of the services that you can get at the library. And so we just try to shine a light on that, the treasures that are here for you.
And how can folks learn more about what the foundation does, or if they want to be a part of, the foundation? How do they learn more about that?
Well, the best way is through our website, which is cobblibraryfoundation.org. And please follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We're on all the social media, and that's where we really keep you abreast of all of the events that are happening. We've got some great things coming up for April. We've got June Hall McCash, who wrote a book called The Titanic Love Story, which is the true story of a wonderful couple that loved each other so much that they the wife refused to leave the ship. I won't spoil the story for you to tell you what happens, but it's a wonderful story with a lot of history. And so we've got June Hall McCash coming in April. And I'm working on some really interesting speakers for other events coming up through the year. So check with us on social media, check with us on our website, and the news will always be there.
And what is the address of the website?
cobblibraryfoundation.org.
Wonderful. Well, we've really enjoyed having you on the show today, Terri.
Thank you
and
very much.
And thanks for all your good work.
Thank you very much, and thank you for loving your library.
Yeah. Well, we'll be right back in just a moment. Thank you.
So what you want to do is, have you already enrolled? You're 25.
What does that just do?
Select the drop-down menu again.
Wait.
So you're already enrolled. Example here, so don't panic. You're ready to make your payments. There it is.
Oh my God! I really can't believe it.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Hi, welcome back to the Library Show. I'm Roxanne McGaugh, and this is Donna McEachern. We're back with our book reviews for book clubs. And this time, Donna's going to interview me for one book.
Roxanne, you've chosen a really interesting book. Tell us about what's the name and title?
Yes, it's Susan Monk Kidd's The Invention of Wings.
This is her most recent book.
Most recent book, it's newly published from January 2014.
She's previously written The Secret Life of Bees. Does this have a similar theme?
Sort of. She's gone back to the race issue. This one, it takes place in the 1800s over a period of 35 years, and it's based on the true story of Sarah and Nina Grimke.
Uh-huh.
And Sarah was a plantation, born into a plantation, and on her first teen birthday, she presented her first slave, Handful.
What was her response to getting a slave at 13?
She didn't want Handful. She tried to give her back. She went to her father's study, and he was a judge, and she found the paperwork to write out a form to free her. Well, when she left the form on her father's desk, and he tore it up. So needless to say, she didn't have any rights, and
Well, what was the relationship between the two women?
they had a pretty good relationship. Handful's mother, Charlotte, made her promise that she would one day free Handful. So Sarah decided one way that she could do this was to teach her to read.
Which was illegal at that time.
Yes, it was. And they did get caught, but that's something you need to read on in the story.
Uh-huh. It took place, you said, just between 1803 and 1838. Would this make a good book club read?
Yes, it would. Since it's based on the true story of Sarah and Nina Grimke, they actually become Quakers and abolitionists. And they write papers with William Lloyd Garrison's The Liberator. So it's based on something that really happened. The house is still living on East Bay Street in Charleston, so I highly recommend the book.
Well, thank you. That sounds interesting.
So now we're back to Donna. And the first book that we're going to talk about, that she is going to talk about, is The Book of Ages, The Life and Opinions of Jane Franklin.
I love this book. It just came out this year.
Okay, well, tell us about the author.
The author is Jill Lepore. She is a Harvard University professor. She has written other historical books. This is sort of a first of its kind. It's a women's history of colonial women from the point of the obscure and the uneducated. Jane Franklin just happens to be Benjamin Franklin's younger sister.
Okay, so, yeah, who is Jane Franklin? So go on.
There were 17 children in the Franklin family. She was the youngest girl. He was 6 years older than her, and she loved him, and he loved her. He taught her to read, which was the only education that she got other than the traditional women's education of cooking and sewing and caring for other people. She became a grand reader and a great letter writer, even though she could not spell. She had no concept of grammar. One of the things that's really nice that Lepore does is reproduce a lot of her letters with the original spelling so we can see. She was embarrassed by them, but she still kept writing.
And what does the Book of Ages mean?
The Book of Ages was actually written by Jane Franklin Meekum, detailing the births and deaths of her 13 children. She married badly, and so many of her children died. Evidently, some of them had tuberculosis, perhaps. There was even some insanity. They were poor. Her husband spent time in a debtor's prison.
Okay, and why is it important to read this book?
There are several reasons why this was such a marvelous book. First of all, comparing the famous wealthy Ben Franklin to the poor and obscure sister who had as much worth as he did, but because of the constraints of no education and no money, she was unable to be someone like, say, for Jane Addams, who had education. So it points out what the lack of education in the 18th and 19th centuries did for women.
Okay. And would you recommend this for your book club?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, as soon as we get enough copies, we're going to read it. It's considering that it's historical research and you have about 60 pages at the end of notes, it's very easy to read. It's very well researched. She uses so many different sources to bring this woman alive.
Good.
And we like her.
Well, good. Sounds interesting. Now, this next book I've read, thoroughly enjoyed it. It's Into the Darkest Corner by Elizabeth Hayes. It's her debut novel. Tell us a little bit about the book.
This is psychological suspense, and it is harrowing. We see a young woman in 2003 who is happy, careless, goes out to clubs, parties, a bit promiscuous with her friends, and that she's just having the time of her life being a young 20s. And then we get a picture of her 4 years later. She has locked herself into an apartment. She doesn't speak to anyone. She has developed obsessive compulsive disorder and has really a hard time just making it through the day. So we need to see what happened between those two periods.
Yeah, what caused the change in Catherine's personality?
What caused it was a bad choice in a boyfriend. She met this wonderful guy who was just so handsome and so sexy and treated her so well, but very soon became extremely jealous, extremely controlling. By the time she figured out she needed to get away from the situation, it was too late. He beat her badly. He went to prison.
Okay. How does the format of the book help us tell the story?
What it does is jump from 2003 diaries to 2007 alternately. And so we see what she's like in this one place, and we see the slow transformation of her, I guess you would call it downfall. And then in the 2007 entries, we see her slow healing and trying to get out of it. It's the juxtaposition of the two is very well done. You don't feel as though you don't know what's going on with it.
Okay, so I know your book group read it and they liked it.
My book group read it, they loved it. A couple of people would have preferred a more linear story without the diaries, but most of the people thought the diaries were very well done.
Okay. Well, that's all we have time for now. Stay tuned for more of the library show.
Thanks for calling the GED Pep Talk Center. Jerry Siller speaking. Your level 7 in-your-face pep talk.
I can keep pushing you. Believe me, I'm good at it. But at some point, you're going to need to start pushing yourself.
See, once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell them. You can't change your past, but you can definitely change your future.
That makes me so happy, I'm ready to bust out a dance.
Mr. Trejo, can I transfer this guy to you? My gentle technique isn't really working. You need something a little more
persuasive.
Yes.
You listen, and you listen good.
Hey, where's my sandwich? Terry? Terry!
Take it from me, the King DMC. It's a real cool thing to get your GED.
Get that diploma!
Now hold on and we'll find you free GED classes. Capiche?
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Beth. Welcome back, Shannon.
Thank you.
So, March is Women's History Month, and we both have some great books about some great women that we want to share with you. This first book is called The Tree Lady, and it was written by H. Joseph Hopkins and illustrated by Jill McElmurray. It is a biography about a woman named Catherine Olivia Sessions, or Kate for short. Kate loved playing in the woods and studying science, but she grew up in the 1860s when this was considered very unusual. In fact, she was the very first woman to graduate from the University of California with a degree in science. But what happens when a tree-loving scientist moves to a city where its park has no trees and where no one thinks trees can even grow? She gets to work and proves them wrong. In fact, thousands of trees later, Kate even came to be known as the mother of Balboa Park.
My first book is You Forgot Your Skirt, Amelia Bloomer by Shayna Corey. This book tells the story of Amelia Bloomer, who, at a time when women were supposed to be proper, was not proper at all. She believed women should have more rights, like the right to vote, the right to work outside the home, and the right to wear comfortable clothing. Women during Amelia's time were only allowed to wear big, heavy dresses, But with the support of her friend Libby, Amelia began wearing pants. People thought she was crazy, but Amelia didn't care. Even today, we remember Amelia by sometimes calling pants bloomers.
Speaking of clothes, this next book is a picture book called Everyday Dress Up, and it's by Selena Alco. A little girl used to only dress up in princess costumes until her mom reads her stories about amazing real-life women. Now she can dress up like a different great woman from history every day of the week, from Amelia Earhart to Maria Tallchief to Ella Fitzgerald and more. The outfits, of course, are fabulous, and the back of the book has more information about these important women.
My next book is about Alice Roosevelt, President Theodore Roosevelt's daughter. It's called What to Do About Alice: How Alice Roosevelt Broke the Rules, Charmed the World, and Drove Her Father Teddy Crazy by Barbara Curley. I love this book. Alice was quite a character. As her father, the president, used to say, "I can be president of the United States, or I can control Alice. I cannot possibly do both." Alice refused to go to boarding school. She instead read every book in her father's library. She taught herself astronomy, geology, and Greek. She joined an all-boy club. She had a pet snake named Emily Spinach who lived at the White House with her. And when she got married, she received a monkey as a wedding gift. As Alice used to say, she ate up the world, and she enjoyed every minute of it.
Speaking of primates, this book is called Me, Jane, and it's a picture book by Patrick O'Donnell. It's a picture book about Jane Goodall, who grew up to study chimpanzees in Africa. But before that, she was just a little girl who loved nature and loved learning about nature. She even had a plush toy chimpanzee named Jubilee that went everywhere with her. Jane dreamed of studying real animals in Africa someday, and her dream came true. Lots of people told her that girls weren't supposed to do things like live with wild animals, but Jane's mother encouraged her. And now Jane Goodall has not only lived with the wild animals, but is working to save them. Not to mention, my very favorite Raffi song called Jane Jane from his CD, Let's Play, which I also checked out from the library, is all about Jane Goodall and her life. She even makes chimp noises in the song. Another song on the same CD is called Roots and Shoots Everywhere, and it's the theme song of the Jane Goodall Institute. And yes, I do have a favorite Raffi song. Thank you.
My last book is The Summer Birds, The Butterflies of Maria Marian by Margarita Engel. Maria Marian was born in Germany in 1647 during the Middle Ages. From the time she was a young girl, she was interested in science, specifically bugs. During the Middle Ages, people thought bugs were born from mud, and they thought they were evil. But Maria didn't think that was true. She studied bugs and discovered that they hatched from eggs. She watched caterpillars turn into butterflies, and she knew that they weren't evil. She was also a talented painter, and she painted pictures of bugs and taught people about their life cycles. She became famous as a scientist, and she was a wonderful woman way ahead of her time. We hope you've enjoyed the books we brought to share with you today. Remember to visit your local Cobb County Public Library to find lots of excellent books in honor of Women's History Month. Stay tuned for more of the Library Show coming up after this.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time.
One book can be the first element, helps to change a life.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Welcome back to the show. You might be wondering why I'm wearing this hat. Do you recognize it? That's right, it's the Cat in the Hat's hat. I'm wearing it in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday, which is March 2nd. Every March, the National Education Association celebrates Dr. Seuss's birthday with an event called Read Across America. Read Across America is a time to celebrate the joy of reading. At the heart of the program is an effort to motivate children to become lifelong readers. And who understood the importance of reading more than Dr. Seuss? Theodore Seuss Geisel was born in my hometown, Springfield, Massachusetts, on March 2, 1904. He attended Dartmouth College and began publishing cartoons and humor articles for magazines after graduation. Dr. Seuss published his first children's book, And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, in 1937. He continued to write and publish children's books for the next 17 years, but it was in 1954 that things got interesting. Life magazine published a report in May 1954 about illiteracy among children, suggesting that children were having trouble reading because books on their reading level were boring. In response, Dr. Seuss's publisher sent him a list of words every child should know and challenged him to write a story that children would enjoy reading using only those words. 9 months later, Dr. Seuss, using just 220 words, published The Cat in the Hat. It was an instant success. Over the course of his long life, Dr. Seuss wrote and illustrated 44 children's books. His books have taught generations of children how to read. As of 2007, more than 10 million copies of The Cat in the Hat had been published in 12 different languages, including Latin. This March, celebrate Dr. Seuss and his love of reading by attending one of the library system's Read Across America programs. And don't forget to visit your library all month long to check out your favorite Dr. Seuss books. More information about our Read Across America programs can be found on our website at www.cobbcat.org/calendar. In the words of Dr. Seuss, you're never too old, too wacky, too wild to pick up a book and read to a child.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all working with United Way for a million little reasons. The kids of our communities, to ensure their academic success all the way to graduation day. You see, it takes about 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a kid becoming one or the other could be a professional athlete, or it could be you. Studies showed the earlier we get to kids, the better their chances. So become a United Way volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, and make a difference in the life of a child, for the life of that child.
Give.
Advocate.
Volunteer. Live united. Join your favorite NFL players. Take the pledge. Go to unitedway.org.
Thanks for watching The Library Show. For more information on anything you've seen here today, visit our website at www.cobbcat.org. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Each year, our children are put at risk by drivers who ignore bus stop arms and warning lights. In Cobb County alone, more than 1,000 drivers ignore them every day. The Cobb Police Department and Cobb Schools have partnered with Operation Stop Arm to educate drivers about the new law to save lives.
Tragically, a young child was killed at a bus stop by a passing car in 2009.
While we were being interviewed by the news crew, a driver ran through the stop arm of the bus.
We had just installed new stop arm cameras on some of our buses and were able to hand the photo over to law enforcement. And now, with the new law, hopefully we will reduce violations of the stop arm law and have additional evidence to cite violators.
Drivers who pass a school bus with a stop arm activated can receive up to a $1,000 fine from the court and get 6 points tacked onto their driver's history. It is a serious offense.
So next time you're in a hurry and you're tempted to pass a stopped school bus,
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If your home was built before 1978, your kids could be at risk. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, and find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.